This coming Shabbat, followed by Sunday, we will be celebrating 70 years of the Rebbe's leadership. If God forbid we'll still be in exile another day or two, we will discuss different aspects of the Rebbe's leadership. Today, I want to focus on the basic teaching, fundamental teaching of the Rebbe, which he actually said in his first ma'amar, his first public discourse. And he stated that our generation is the generation of concluding the journey of Am Yisrael, concluding the journey of the world, bringing it to its culmination, to its perfection, which is the coming of Mashiach. This is accomplished by perfecting the world. The world has been created, as it says, God created the world because he wanted to have a dwelling place in this finite physical world. So the Rebbe says that we have to see everything, every action of ours, every aspect of this world has to be seen from this angle, how this makes for a world permeated with godliness. So I want to share with you a magnificent response from the Rebbe to someone who wrote saying that he has an issue with putting on tefillin because he's a vegan. And as a vegan, he cannot condone the idea of killing animals, slaughtering animals, for the purpose of making tefillin. It's against his beliefs. And the Rebbe says, let me point out to you to a story in the Talmud, Shabbat, page 108. Where there the Talmud relates a conversation between one of the Boethusians. Boethusians were those who rejected the rabbinic interpretation of the Torah. It's not certain if they were part of the Sadducees or a different group, but whoever they were in conflict with the rabbinic interpretation of the Torah. So the Talmud relates that one of them asked a question to Rabbi Yeshua Hagarsi. And he asked him, how do we know that we're not supposed to write tefillin on parchment made from a non-kosher animal? Halachically, we know that this is what is required. It has to be parchment coming from a kosher animal. So he responded to him because the verse says, "Leman tiyeh Toras Hashem beficha." So it should be the word of God, the word of Torah should be in your mouth. Chachamim derive that it means is that you can only write the words of God for a mitzvah, for tefillin, or for a sefer Torah, or for a mezuzah, on these kinds of parchment that you are permitted to eat. Thus, kosher animals, kosher skin. So you asked a further question. If that's the case, so we should not be able to write on a kosher animal that died of natural death, not has been slaughtered for the purpose of kosher food, but just died, which is called nevela. Yet it is permitted, but we're not allowed to eat it. So Rabbi Yeshua responded him with an example, an allegory. It says, imagine two people who were unfortunately sentenced to death penalty by the king. One of them was killed by the king himself, while the other one was killed by an executioner. He says, which one is more praiseworthy? Obviously, the one that was killed by the king himself. So Rabbi Yeshua says, you have two animals. One animal that was slaughtered by a human being for the purpose of eating. There's another animal that died its natural death, which means it was killed by God himself. So which one is more praiseworthy? So obviously, it is permitted to use the skin of that dead kosher animal. Says the Rebbe, as a vegan, you are concerned about what? About killing the animals? Tefillin can be used from animals that died from natural death. Now, if you want to make sure you know which one it is from, you're welcome to do so. But then the Rebbe says, go a little further. What could have happened with that piece of skin? Could have been a pair of shoes, could have been a leather coat, could have been used for any regular use or frivolous use. And here is an opportunity that skin could be rendered into tefillin. Tefillin, as it says in Kabbalah, brings about, reveals the supernal intellect of the highest level of godliness. So why would one refrain from putting on tefillin when we have an opportunity to elevate the world, to elevate that animal, to elevate it in such a state of high holiness that it becomes an object of kedusha, a holy object? Especially when it doesn't even contradict your vegan ideas, your vegan philosophies. This is what we have to realize. Our task is to elevate the entire world according to the precepts, according to the teachings of Torah. And this way, we bring about the ultimate redemption of Mashiach and the perfection of the world.